Everything that has happened here this weekend has happened under a pall of gloom as a result of a fatal crash yesterday afternoon in Turn 1. It has been 10 years to the day since a driver fatality at this racetrack, and on that unfortunate anniversary, Jovy Marcelo, 27-year-old Filipino husband and father, soft-spoken, a virtual unknown in IndyCar racing, came here having run more than 500 laps and had this accident.
And this was an unusual accident. We can see he's very low down inside the apron in Turn 1. He'd only been running 175 miles an hour. He lost control of the car and made heavy contact with the outside wall. All the damage was done right there. The car then went into Turn 2. But Jovy Marcelo did suffer very severe injuries. We see him coming off the wall here. Heavy suspension damage, heavy damage to the tub. But Jovy Marcelo, a very unfortunate incident.
You make a key point, and that is the one of speed. He was running at 175 miles an hour, give or take. The pole speed had been over 230, and he, in fact, had lapped at close to 216, 217. So speed and the impact are not necessarily always directly associated. We can get more on the aftermath of that crash from another of our pit reporters. Let's go trackside to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Dave. This is unfortunately part of the job I do not enjoy. We just moments ago, the Bob Walters, Director of Public Relations for Indianapolis Motor Speedway, came to us with information from Dr. Henry Bach, who is the medical director here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Henry and his crack staff were there, as they are every day during the month of May, to try to preserve life and limb. Dr. Bach had received word just moments ago from the coroner listing the official cause of death for Jovy Marcelo. That caused blunt force head trauma caused by the crash. Now, most importantly, the other information we have, the salient points, there were no other injuries of any kind. There were no marks on the helmet, no marks on the uniform. So a lot of the speculation in and around the garage area that possibly a tire or a piece of suspension came off and struck him, that is not true. There were no other injuries to the chest, to the neck. The total injury and the cause of death was blunt trauma to the head. Now, the car has been examined by USAC Technical Director Mike Devon, and he made these points also just moments ago to us exclusively. The belts were functional and tight. Speculation, maybe the belts malfunctioned. Not the case. They were functional and tight on impact. No pieces of the car came through the tub. Maybe some people were talking about suspension parts coming through the tub. Not so. The suspension did exactly what it was supposed to do, and they were intact. All the suspension pieces have been accounted for. There are no lost pieces. They have been examined by the USAC folks and determined that they all did their job. And the left side pod, the left part of the car, the chassis side part adjacent to the tub, was intact, which tells us primarily that the impact, or the blunt impact, was the left front and then a quick whip to the left rear. So again, his cause of death was blunt head trauma, blunt force head trauma. Basically, it's a G-force deceleration type injury that caused the death of Jovy Marcelo. And quickly, we might mention the funeral services will be in Hillsborough, California. He will be buried in his native Philippines. His father, Edward, here making arrangements, and they are as yet incomplete. Back upstairs.
It had been 10 years since Gordon Smiley died at Indianapolis. It is a reality which we never become accustomed to.
Well, that's right. I think this month in particular, we've had so many good days where we've celebrated speeds, the Guerreros setting new track records. I think they've had celebrations around the world when Guerrero did those type of speeds. But I think the savage reality of what can happen in IndyCar racing started to come when Mears had that horrific crash and people held their breath hoping he would survive. Nelson Piquet's accident suddenly serious injuries to a three-time world champion. Well, Jovy Marcelo was here chasing his dream to become the first driver from the Philippines to race at a track like this. Unfortunately, the reality was that he is not going to realize those dreams, and he leaves, I think he leaves his family, his wife, his child with memories of good days, because he had some good days in the past.
We will remember Jovy Marcelo in happier times. Laguna Seca last year, the battle for the Toyota Atlantic Championship. His friend and rival Jimmy Vasser in hot pursuit. The man who came across the finish line first would win the title. And so when the pressure was on, Jovy Marcelo prevailed and took the crown. And in victory lane, he celebrated with his father. And thus we will remember this quiet young Filipino, Jovy Marcelo, dead at the age of 27. We'll be right back.